Nobody says anything they don't mean to.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to have fun with this episode. This is probably going to be the last time we talk about the troll, because I think the trolls kind of left the channel alone, but we do want to go over the last 2 weeks of trolly goodness. But before we get into trolly goodness and just have fun with it, there is some legitimate crap going on. Of the legitimate things going on, where do y'all want to start? Actually, would y'all have a preference, or?
Doesn't make a difference to me.
Well, actually, I need to open up the dock. But...
That would help. It would help if you open up the dock. It might just. Well, let me wait for you to open up the dock. I said where I stand. I was looking very forward to the Zoom, and my heartstrings have been broken. Do y'all think I'm overreacting, or do you think the Zoom might get screwed up by Verizon firmware?
Sorry, I can't hear a thing.
Okay. Are we better now?
Yes.
Okay, we're better now. Good. It's my personal opinion. I hope I'm wrong, because I was really looking forward to the Zoom. But my personal opinion is the Zoom is not going to be what it could be because of Verizon screwing it up. Do y'all think I'm overreacting? I mean, we don't know that for a fact yet. It's just a rumor at this point. It's not officially released yet.
What's the rumor exactly?
The rumor is the Zoom's going to be released with firmware restrictions where parts of it are going to be turned off. It's going to be CDMA only. There's not going to be a GSM version of it. It's going to be CDMA only. It's going to be on the Verizon network. And Verizon is going to be shipping it with certain things like the Wi-Fi disabled unless you sign a Verizon contract.
With the Wi-Fi disabled?
Yeah. To turn on Wi-Fi, you must sign a Verizon contract.
I haven't heard anything like that, but...
It's a rumor. Apparently this is all based off of a leaked Best Buy ad that said that. So, we don't... this is not an official ad. This is a leaked ad. It's like a preview ad. So, maybe we shouldn't get our panties in a bunch yet until Verizon actually says this. But everybody...
I would be willing to bet it will be coming to Verizon and it will be locked to CDMA. That's a pretty safe bet, I have to say.
Yeah, and that's one, like, really, I think these tablets should be GSM, because the problem with CDMA is it's database locked, so you can't ever take that device to another carrier even if you unlock it.
Well, I mean, Motorola has huge agreements with Verizon.
I know, and that's what's going to be, but it's, I mean, with this kind of stuff going on, especially if you have to sign a Verizon contract to get the Wi-Fi turned on, is the Zoom really a flagship Android device? Is it really in that league with that kind of lockdownedness being played with? Or is it Google, find somebody else, anybody else, and try again, please?
I've just got to say, $800 subsidized.
Yeah, that's the other bit right there. It makes the iPad look cheap on top of that. If you're going to make me sign a contract on top of that, subsidize it some more. Like $300 subsidized. I'll do whatever the heck you want. $300 subsidized, $800 to $1,000 full price. Okay, we're in the ballpark. $800.
I could even see it going as high as $500 because it is a brand new Android 3, dual core, 10-inch, all of that extra fun stuff to it. The specs are definitely pretty impressive. $500, $600, but $800 is really overpriced.
So it's too much money. They're screwing around with firmware lockdown. We don't know that for a fact yet, though, but that's the rumor. And it's locked to a carrier and a carrier only. This is Android, not iOS. Do we think that all the Android tablets are going to wind up being like this, or do you think quickly...
Well, of course not, no.
Okay, but do you think the competition's going to realize that this is an easy way to kill the Zoom, to just not make these mistakes? Or do you think they're going to not be adventurous enough to be competitive?
Well, do you think that the Zoom's going to be that bad? Do you think that it's going to turn out bad even
Honestly, the Zoom looks, based on the demos we've all seen, based on the specs, like Jordan was saying, everything, the Zoom looks like it's going to be a really, really good device. And it looks like it's going to be able to do a lot of things. I mean, it's going to have Flash 10 out of the box, none of this waiting for updates, all of this stuff. So I think it's going to be a really good device, and it definitely has the ability to support it. What this is going to come down to is how patient the consumer can be. Because with Motorola getting that lead time like they did, realistically, I think we're 6 months to early next year from really having competing honeycomb Android tablets. So really, and that, honestly, I'm wondering how much of that is the things they're doing with the Zoom. Like, do you think they'd be pricing it at the $800 if realistically there were going to be other real honeycomb competitors definitely before Christmas? Or do you think they'd be pricing it more like the $300 to $600 it should be?
I think that we did talk about how the Zoom's coming out first. And as from what I hear is that a lot of features, the Zoom's coming out and then features will be added later. Like there's maybe some port in there, I think, that won't work until they add an update that they're going to add after it releases. So possibly, I mean, since they are going to be like the first real Android tablet out, they're going to price it high, and then they'll go lower when other tablets start to come around, which would make sense. But they probably will take advantage of being first.
It's not a really good example, but when the iPhone first released on AT&T, how much was it?
I honestly forget.
I think it was
Like
$600.
$799 or something like that.
Yeah, there was.
$700.
I think it took them that first 6 months to figure out how to get the contract and subsidization just right.
And after that $600, they dropped to $400, and then when the what was it, the 3G came out, it all dropped to $200.
And now it's been $200, and every time the $200 one's out, the old one, while we clear out our stock, is $100. And
so I think at the beginning here, they're going to price it really high to see where the market lies and see who will actually jump on it. And then perhaps once things have settled in a little more, there's a little more competition out there, we will probably see the prices, well, we will definitely see the prices drop off.
Oh yeah, competition always sends the prices heading right where they should frickin' be instead of through the roof like they are right now. But
well, of course, the one thing that I think we forgot to mention is it comes out with 3G, and then a week later they're going to 4G. It's like, why would you not just release it a week later? It doesn't make any sense. That way you have to buy it, and then you have to buy a separate upgrade.
So what, you have to buy the 4G upgrade? There's no way to like pre-order it?
As far as I understand, you do have to buy the upgrade separately.
See, there's all these crap like this going on, and like you're saying, like both of you are saying, they're doing it because, like you say, they don't really have any competition. But this is a little different than like what you were talking about with Apple. Like you said, it's not a good example. Good or bad, right or wrong, and I hate Apple, we all know that. But when Apple did that, they didn't really have any competition. It was Apple versus whatever the hell else Apple wanted to verse. Apple was their own competition. That's not the case right now. You have competition in tablets. You have iOS, you have other Android devices. They're Android 2, there are other Android devices. Isn't the Galaxy, what is it, Tab 2 supposed to be the other honeycomb device very shortly here, or it's not going to get honeycomb?
I haven't heard of a Galaxy 2 yet, but there is a Galaxy that's being released on Verizon that's just this much faster than the existing one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So okay, but they have it. Why they may have dominance in Android, they're not entering a virgin market. I think going about this price gouging and milking it is very stupid.
The thing is, they are coming in on the really high end of the spectrum, not just price-wise, but performance-wise, because the specs and the OS are the top of the line. This is supposed to be the cream of the crop. Everything is supposed to be based around this device for Honeycomb. So this is going to be the premier. This is what we want Honeycomb to be. So all the other ones should base on it. Then the prices should go down.
Well, yeah, but see here. But here's the problem with it being priced ultra premium and cream of the crop like this. I mean, everybody who's asking me, I don't know about y'all, but my honest recommendation to people is, unless you just absolutely want it and can't wait, you probably shouldn't buy the Zoom. You probably should wait unless you absolutely need it and can't wait. And I think that's going to be the general reaction of most people. And without meaning to, this playing the ultra high end like they're doing, most notably in price. Quality-wise, I'm all fine with that, but they kind of needed, because this is the first true honeycomb device, they needed to kind of eat and give a little bit of give to give it a good start off. Because if the honest reaction out of everybody is, don't buy this device, then most people aren't going to buy it, and their industry is going to look at it, well, this is a fail. And it's a fail because of screw-ups, not because nobody wants it. It's we don't want to be raped for it.
Right. But, and the good thing to keep in mind is I don't think we have an official price announced, do we? We're still getting a lot of conjecture.
Yeah, everything we're dealing on is based on things like the leaked Best Buy app. We have nothing official out of either Verizon or Motorola. What I'm hoping is that somebody at either Verizon or Motorola let this stuff be leaked to see what's up with it. And since the general reaction of the blogs, the internet, Twitter, people like us is, hell no. Hopefully they listen and go, okay, that was plan A. Plan A isn't going to fly. Let's go with plan B, which is do right by the consumer and actually give it a good send-off. and work on building a better mousetrap next year. I think we're giving them way more credit.
Help things is the what's it called, the HP Playbook. No, that's the RIM Playbook. HP announced, can't remember what it's called, sorry. They've got a tablet they announced that there's been a lot of coverage of this.
Yeah.
Palm Tab.
It's WebOS.
Yeah, they just announced it today. It's like
I think it's called Palm Pad. Yes.
I think they're avoiding the name Palm thing.
Yeah,
It's called the touchpad.
Yeah, it's called the touchpad. HP is desperately trying to disassociate WebOS with Palm. This is an HP thing. Palm never existed. It's a deluded dream of some madman. You never heard of it. Everything is HP. In that respect. And I'm honestly hoping that one of the things WebOS does is get both the Android complacency and the iOS complacency, and the idea of, well, because we're first in Android, we can screw the end user off its ass. We really do.
That's what I was actually just thinking. The Zoom can kind of screw this up because they have competition.
Yeah, but they don't see it as.
And Apple's a very niche thing. It doesn't really care about getting the whole market, everybody. HP, on the other hand, loves getting everybody in as much market share as possible. So that's going to be real competition for anything, Android, and the Zoom can't, they can't willy-dally around.
And that's what I was saying. If the Zoom completely willy-dallies and screw up, if they flop the first Android tablet, like I'm becoming increasingly convinced they're going to, the industry reaction is going to be not Motorola and Zoom screwed it up, we shouldn't go with Android, and that will hurt Android for 2 to 3 years to come as a result of them screwing it up. It will take somebody hitting a home run to get Android back on track if Motorola completely F's this up.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen because I'm going to see, unless the Zoom tablet actually sucks as far as usability, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I think usability-wise, performance-wise, what it's capable of, what Honeycomb's capable of, I think it's a great device. But that price point is important because if nobody gets because it's priced too out of the ballpark, if nobody goes and gets their hands on it, none of that's going to matter. Only tech people and geek people like us are even going to realize the device exists. The average consumer is going to be oblivious because they're not even going to take a look at it because of the price. Were you fixing to say something, Jordan? Or
sorry, I lost it.
You lost it? Damn it.
Yeah.
I hate it when I lose it.
Couldn't have been that important, right?
Okay. Do we have anything else we want to say on that, or do we want to move on to the other two things?
Oh, yes. The
I'm saying that other companies know how much they think that they can make something for. Motorola may make something for $300, and Samsung looks at it like, oh, we can make that for this amount. I think that as long as they it gets significantly good reviews, people like it, and the main complaint is the price too high, I don't think that it will be as big of a, Android sucks kind of thing. I think that might get other people to try to take it up.
Well,
I think there's too much momentum behind Android for it just to stop like that, like you're saying, for 3 years, just because the Zoom failed.
No, not Android, but tablet Android hasn't really gotten going yet.
Tablet Android still has momentum. There's a lot of companies just waiting to get into that market very quickly.
That's what I was going to say. The one saving grace that we've had so far is the Samsung Galaxy Tab. They have sold so many units of that, and it's just a silly little 7-inch tablet that is kind of mediocre when it comes to specs.
Well, but see, and the Galaxy Tab is exactly what I'm thinking of, to be quite honest, because really non-technical people, like one of my aunts actually, over the holidays, she wants one of these tablet devices, and she's like, well, I don't really want to buy the iPad. I think I'd like Android. This was honestly what she was saying. I don't really want to buy the iPad, but I hear such horrible reviews about the Tab. She's hearing bad because it's not Honeycomb. It's not the right OS for the form factor. Honeycomb is the right OS for the form factor, but it's one of those, they don't really pay attention to the reviews. If they hear general bad tone, they don't really pay attention to whose fault it is. They just go, general bad tone. The consumer's fickle that way, and it can create a prejudice without meaning to.
Yeah, I think that there had to be a few more fails than just the Zoom. If Motorola fails it, I almost guarantee that there's going to be some other big company like Samsung that I think will release with Honeycomb to try to,
in some ways, like you're saying, it might make more honey. If Zoom stumbles a little too much here, it might light a fire, like you're saying, under Adam and Samsung's butt to go, how do we upgrade our existing things to Honeycomb before Christmas so we can steal the Zoom's thunder?
If nobody's going to buy the Zoom, they could get a huge market right there, which is what I think would happen. And if that fails, then you have lost hope in Android for 3 years. But I don't think that just the Zoom failing will do that.
Well, and that's going to come down to what we don't know is how well will the hardware of some of these. I know the Atom would run Honeycomb fine. I don't know about the Galaxy Tab. I don't know how well it would run some of the stuff. We don't honestly know on that. So.
Well, after seeing some of the videos of just the Nook color running it, I wouldn't be surprised if the Tab ran it really well.
And they might have designed it with that in mind.
The Nook color is such an underpowered device, and to see it run this brand new, even though it's not the official release, but this brand new version of the OS so well for the specs, the Tab shouldn't have any problem.
Okay. Well, I say, and if those devices can become Honeycomb compatible before Christmas, then no matter how much the Zoom fumbles it, because we're in the beginning of the year. We're not even done with first quarter yet. If come third quarter, there's plenty of good options for people to have an idea what they want to order early for Christmas, then everything's fine. If come then we're still dealing with this aftermath, yeah, we got a big problem.
Well, the good thing is the Galaxy Tab as it is and the Zoom are technically in two separate markets, because a lot of people want a tablet, but they don't necessarily want a big old tablet. A lot of people want a tablet, but they don't necessarily want a tiny one. People that have a phone that's of decent size want a large tablet.
Well, and that's one of the things I do love about Android, that somebody's making the form factor you want. You're not stuck to this one is the most profitable form factor. Anyways.
Which is where it's not so much competition as choice.
Right. What were you saying, James?
One thing that can be noted for the Zoom is that it's a significantly more powerful device than the iPad.
Oh.
And the next generation iPad. A lot of people are expecting it to be priced totally the same. I think it warrants being priced a little bit more. And if some other company wants to make a lower tablet, they could do that.
Well, that's the other thing. We don't know the hard specs for the iPad 2 yet. We have plenty of rumors, but we don't know hard specs, and we're probably not going to for a month, given that Apple made no announcement in the last week. But we don't know anything about pricing for the iPad 2. For all we know, Apple's going to do to the pricing of the iPad 2 compared to the iPad 1 the same thing they did with the MacBook Pro. And if that's the case, the Zoom's pricing's right on point. Even though it's ridiculously high, it's right on point if that's the case. On the other hand, we don't know anything about that. And like you're saying, it is literally twice the system. It's a dual core. It's, I forget, is it the 1 point, is it the 1 or the 1.2 gigahertz? I can't remember.
It's 2 or 1 gigahertz.
It's the dual one, so they're not going to the 1.2s yet. I mean, it's got it like you're saying, and literally in almost every way, it is twice the system. We don't know if it's twice the iPad 2. We're guessing. We don't know yet.
Well, I'm considering that, you know, the iPhones generally, they're not a huge change in their power, and Apple kind of wants to keep it a little bit, you know, lower, make a good enough margin, you know, keep components kind of reliable but cheap, and, you know, mainly have a phone that does this and can do up to this and wait until, yeah. But I'm feeling that, you know, my laptop might cost around the Zoom, but they're trying to make, you know, show that the Zoom, it's not just a tablet. Like, this is what a tablet can really do. This isn't just a big phone. This is a really powerful device that's nothing like a phone, and it's nothing like a laptop. This is truly entering into what a tablet is.
Yeah, but there's still that. You can have $3,000-$4,000 notebook computers. Only a handful of people are really willing to buy those, and it's the same thing with the tablet form factor. Yes, you're right. It is a very powerful system for that form factor, but it's training the consumer to do that is, yeah. Okay, anything else you want to say on that, or do we want to move on to the Libre?
Well, I mean, one more thing if I compare.
Go ahead.
You know, the Zoom to the Nexus 1. The Nexus 1 didn't start out very cheap. The cheapest that you could get it was like $700 at the start, but everyone still liked it.
Everyone still liked it, but that's the primary reason I never got a Nexus 1. Like right around, I was still waiting for a Qualcomm phone. I was wanting a Nexus 2 Qualcomm. You know, get the bugs out with the Nexus 1, get the sun. Then Google goes and kills the whole line. You know, that's yeah. But you're right. It did start out that way. But that's one of the reasons I think the Nexus 1 never really caught on.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that even though it never really caught on, it still, you know, captured the hearts and, you know, souls of all these people. And that matters, you know, developers still love to develop for the Nexus 1, and that, you know, people do take that into consideration, how many developers are developing for it.
Okay, but do we really want the trademark for Honeycomb to be the majority of the developers are developing for a device that the majority of the people don't have? I'm just saying, that's like...
Yeah, that gets back to the whole idea of what I think they're planning is trying to get everything to build upon that, and then build cheaper devices that are similar to the Zoom in this coming year.
Yeah, and if the industry's learned that, but we'll see if the industry's learned that. We're gonna the telling is gonna be in the pudding of the next 18 months. Is really what it's gonna be. That's when we'll.
It's not that they're developing for one device. I mean, that how Android works is that you develop for this and it'll work with.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the other reason they haven't, even though they probably could have updated the Nexus 1 yet. I mean, you can download it and update it yourself, but they haven't pushed it out themselves. Because that was one of the things people were always developing for the Nexus 1 version, which was always a version ahead, you know. Which, not so cool.